Oh my goodness, it's been a while. Oh my goodness, I am so stoked. We have a great episode for all of you this week. We always have good episodes, but this one, I've definitely got a little jazz going from reading about some of these folks that we showcase every 2 weeks, and these in particular, actually one set I'm very, very impressed with, but doesn't mean I'm not impressed with the other person, but this is pretty cool. I am going to wait for Emmanuel to join us. I hope everyone, if you observe, had a wonderful Easter weekend. It was, weather was pretty decent up here in New England. It is spring, so not always the best weather, but at least we had a sunny day, and hopefully everyone got a little bit of time with the family, even though we probably had too much family time in the last 12 months. It is COVID. Just to let people know, before Manuel joins, if you have not seen a video from me, my subscribers on YouTube and on Instagram, is I actually have been in COVID protocol for over a week. I'm just waiting to be cleared. I'm not sick. No symptoms, nothing. It's unfortunately I got exposed to two people in the span of 2 or 3 days, which doesn't help my video production schedule. Unfortunately, I've had to isolate in my own home so I would not infect my family, which is so that's why I have not really been around. Obviously, I've posted some things. So, oh, there he is. Speak of the devil is Emmanuel. I was making my little spiel. Good to see you. Oh,
hey,
can you hear me?
Yeah. What's going on, Pete?
Oh, hey, I was just giving my little spiel about my COVID protocol and how I haven't been really around. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thanks, Emmanuel. Good to see you.
Good to see you, my friend.
You know what? I was telling people before you got on that this week, there's some interesting people here, and I think you outdid yourself. Really did. The story, well, when we get into it, it's very touching, and it touched me deeply, and I'm so happy you picked this wine. I don't know how you did it. I have no idea. Maybe you'll tell the people how you did it, but and then so both these wines are very interesting. I'm looking forward to getting into it. So Here we go. I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well. I am.
Good. Awesome. Well, folks, I am Pete, founder of Great American Nosh. I have with me Emmanuel Montevecchi, my wine guy. He is my trusted wine source for our programming. At Great American Nosh, we live by the mantra, eat, drink, and savor. We're doing a lot of that more these days. We do a lot of instruction, food cooking, food appreciation, wine education, beer education, appreciation. This is our wine education programming called Wine in 3. We focus on 3 topics in a particular wine. Emmanuel is kind enough to pick 2 bottles for us to try. This isn't necessarily a review or a competition. It's for us to actually explore with you, our viewers, the areas, the grape, the people, the little geeky parts about wine that a lot of people don't know about, and we have a little fun with this, and we do this every 2 weeks. So I am going to start briefly, and I'll leave this to the floor for a little bit on Emmanuel, and then I'm going to jump in.
All right, sure.
So we are going to be highlighting rosés tonight. We have 2 rosés, and it's spring, so we're getting close to that time where rosés are going to be very, very much needed up here. And if anybody doesn't know what a rosé is, it is really a wine that has been pressed to the point where the skins actually taint the juice to get that beautiful shade of pink. Now, there's different shades of pink. We'll talk about those as well. But there are actually 3 methods for making rosé. First is probably the most common, I would say, is more of a maceration where they basically fill the tank with the crushed grapes, They let the grapes sit for a little bit, and then once they get the desired shade of wine in terms of the rosé, then they drain the whole wine off. They get it, and then they obviously finish the process. There's another method which is a little less known. It's a little bit more expensive, I think. I'm not sure, but it's called a saignée method, where they kind of bleed off basically the juice from the grapes and the grape skins, and they leave the rest of the wine to make red wine with, but the wine that the juice they bleed off is used to make rosé. So that's an interesting thing. And then the last method is called blending, where they actually just take red wine and white wine and kind of smash it together, and that's where they come up with that rosé. So that is a brief primer on rosés. Did I lose Emmanuel? I did. All right. Well, we'll get him back in here. Don't worry about that. He's actually pretty good about that. So I was doing a little bit of reading about rosés, and really the primary flavors of rosé wine are like red fruit, flowers, citrus, melon with a pleasant crunchy green flavor on the finish, similar to kind of a celery or rhubarb. Of course, it all depends on what kind of grapes they use. People use all kinds of grapes to make rosé. Manuel, I see you joined us. How's your internet connection? There it is.
Okay.
That's all right.
Okay.
You left me hanging. You left me hanging there for a little bit.
No. You were doing fine.
All right. Well, I'm done with my discussion of rosé. I'm going to let you take the floor for a little bit and tell us about where these wines come from, and I guess maybe we'll talk about where they come from, and then we'll dig into who these people are. So.
Okay. Thank you, Pete. All right. So, we are into spring, and so we figured Pete and I we'd feature some rosé wines. Now, one of the wines, the Black Magic Girl rosé, is from the West Coast, Monterey Bay.
Yep. Here we go.
California. Yeah.
That's great. Okay.
Yeah, that's a new product that really hasn't been in the market that long, maybe a couple years now.
Yep, exactly. All right.
The second one,
Here are my doggies. Yeah, there's California. Yeah. If anyone don't know what California looks like, I just wanted to show it to people.
Yeah.
All right.
The second one, which is from the Samuel Robert Winery, we presented before, Pete.
That's right.
There are other wines probably about 11 months ago.
Yeah. Pinot. It was a Pinot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Pinot that we did? Yeah.
They're Pinots. They're Pinots
right.
from Willamette.
Mm-hmm.
That's the area, we're kind of Oregon, Willamette area for this Samuel Robert Rosé.
Yep. There we go. There's Willamette. And that's how they say it, folks, Willamette. Because if you hear anybody from Oregon say it, that's how they say it. So don't say Willamette. It's Willamette. Anyway.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the first one, the Black Girl Magic, is let's see, what do we have? The grapes. We have Syrah. And
so you got the mix. You got a mix on this. I couldn't find out what it was. Okay, great.
Yeah. No, I checked it out. I kind of did the research on it a little bit. Studied a little bit. It was a Syrah and what was it? Hold on one second.
Well, I heard that we're going to, he and I was going to dig deep into this stuff.
Syrah and Pinot. Sorry, Pete.
Oh, all right. So they, I heard they source their grapes from Paso Robles, Edna Valley, Monterey, and Hawke's Bay, New Zealand, I think is from what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair to say. That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. I didn't know the mix. That was good. I couldn't even dig that up. I did a lot of digging, but I couldn't find that. All right.
Well, okay, awesome. That's all right. It's complimentary. Yep. We kind of work collaboratively.
That's right. Exactly.
So, right. And those two rosés, the Samuel Robert Winery has been in the industry for quite a few years. It's been out in the market for several years. Where, as I said, the Black Girl Magic, they're kind of a newer company, a newer producer. It would have been nice. Today's kind of a cool day, not really a spring day, but we are in spring. But it is It is what it is around us here in New England.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want me to dig into the sort of the people behind these two? I think you're going to find them very interesting. So I know you're going to add stuff. So
Yeah, however you want to do it.
All right, let me.
Overview.
Yeah, sure. Why don't you start, and then I'll
Okay.
throw stuff at people. How about that? All right.
Fair enough. Okay, so that Black Girl Magic, if you want to put that up there again, Pete, the rosé.
Yes, Black Gold Magic. Here we go.
So, really interesting story. I heard about these folks probably about 6 months ago. It was on my radar. Yeah, two black female people that have been in the industry since about 2009, if I remember correctly.
That's about right. Yep,
Yeah.
that's right.
So the story goes, two sisters, same father, different mother. Okay, and they met each other later on in life when they were, after some teenage years. One of them, Andrea, is from New Zealand. That's the Hawke's Bay product
Connection.
out of there.
That's right. Yeah.
Connection. Andrea is the younger sibling. Now, the older sibling, Robin, grew up in Monterey, kind of California area.
That's right.
That's right.
So
There's a picture there.
So Robin is here, and Andrea is the one over there. There we go.
Okay. Andrea is the younger one.
Andrea's the younger one. Yep.
What went on is the father, wasn't a big part of their life actually. So
at all, I heard.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of it's an interesting story, but it's real life, people. So what went on? The father got older, had a terminal illness, and one of his wishes was that the sisters were able to meet, one another later on in life, because like I said, later they had different mothers. So that's actually what happened. They met each other, and then they decided that they had this passion for, as Robin kind of grew up in L.A., that Monterey Bay area. They had passion for wine, as well as we know, New Zealand wines. Marlborough, where
it's a pretty good place.
Andrea's from. Yeah, it's on the map for wines.
Yep.
So they kind of, they got along. They got together. They decided they wanted to make some wines. They're big, passionate people. As far as I know, the research that I've done, they are the only all-black women wine business existing here in the U.S.
And the largest.
And the largest. That's right. I was going to say that.
Yep.
So they're big on kind of pushing that out there, and they were involved in a festival about a couple years ago in New Orleans called the Essence Festival.
Yeah.
And that kind of put them out there a little further, and people got to be more aware of them. So they really wanted to push that idea of like that, of strong black women and getting black women involved in the industry.
That's right.
I think that's a really cool story. It's important, I think, obviously, considering what's going on in our country.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot to add here, because I think when they met, well, you're right. The dad was dying of stomach cancer, by the way, and the dad told his family, get these two together. And I guess Robin was 25 and Andrea was 16.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think the uncle was watching some Oprah program about how to locate people. This was before internet and
before
everything.
Ability to connect people on social media. That's
right. So they somehow made the connection, and apparently they looked. I guess Andrea looked up. Was it Robin McBride? They looked up a registry list or something, and they contacted every single Robin McBride that they could.
Oh, okay.
And I guess and they were sending letters. So after, they're getting letters. So after a while, eventually they hit the right Robin McBride, right? So, and Andrea was in the U.S. for school, or she was going to come here for school. And I guess that was what started the whole thing. And then she had to go back to New Zealand. But that's how they met. And they met at LaGuardia Airport, and, they just didn't know. I mean, they hadn't seen each other ever. And so it was really touching to me. And it was one of those things where they even though they grew up in Monterey and New Zealand, they weren't like working at a winery. they basically were around, the vineyards were all around them, but they never worked at a winery. So they never had the business experience in the wine industry. And from what I understood is that they got a federal importer's license many years ago.
Right. Yeah, they became importers first.
They became importers, that's right. And they started importing, they made their first connection in New Zealand, and they started importing all the New Zealand grapes, and then they struck a deal with the farmers that they would learn how to make wine. They would teach them how to make wine. And just to let you know, these folks they don't own their own vineyards, so they're called, I can't say this French, négociant, is that how you, négociant, right?
Yeah, négociant.
Negociant. So basically they collect the grapes from the growers, and then either they vinify them in a separate facility or they're vinified already, but they actually do all the blending and obviously make all the wines, and then they're responsible for the distribution of it. It's really interesting how they taught themselves how to make wine, and they are, and as a strong component of wine value, they have 16 wines that are sub $30 a bottle. Which is
absolutely,
which is fantastic. You know, and they really, you know, unfortunately with last year's issues with racial injustice and everything, obviously, but for them, it created more awareness of what they were doing. So obviously business has been booming for them, which, you know, great. It's fantastic. I love to see that. I mean, it's, you know, and like, as we mentioned, they're the largest black-owned wine company in the United States. And that's definitely for sure. And so that was a great story. I love that. That totally touched me. I get it. They just, you know, just imagine you have a half sister you don't even know about, you know, and halfway through your life, you find out you have one, and then you make the connection and you're like, wow, you like wine? I like wine.
No, it's really like a triumph of the human spirit sort of, you know,
True.
Conversation.
It is.
And
yeah,
you don't hear a lot of that. But obviously through the sadness of what went on with the father, and actually the mother of Andrea passed away from a terminal illness as well.
Yeah, jeez. It's like, how much more tragedy can these people get? I mean, it's like,
exactly.
But anyway, so again, very touching story, great story. I love that backstory. For me, and I actually they actually have a great interview on YouTube. It's on the Breakfast Club. I forget the host's name. I'm going to butcher it.
Yeah,
so I don't
know.
That's,
and I was actually going to put that out there as well, but that's Charlemagne,
yep.
Angelique, what is it? Angelina, the Breakfast Club is, what is it?
There's two male hosts and a female host, and you got the Charlemagne right. Charlemagne. I don't know the other male host, and I don't know the woman there, but
Angie Yee. I think it's Angie Yee.
Yeah, Angie Yee. Yeah.
Breakfast Club. Yeah, they had a really thorough and I think an important interview that they kind of put together.
And then lastly, I'm going to add this on top of that. So given what they've accomplished, you know, they've only been around since, you know, basically 2010, but they've done really well. They are giving back. So they actually created canned wine, but we'll talk about that separately. But they created a foundation called She Can, where they provide grants to minority-owned businesses or black-owned businesses.
That's right.
And one of my connections called Shall We Wine, who I follow all the time, she got a grant just last year. So there's definitely a connection for me with that as well. And they're obviously giving back to the community, because it's like, as entrepreneurs, we never, you know, you need as much support as you can. And as a black woman, obviously in this country, you need a lot more support. You know, there's a lot of stuff that we overlook, but the stuff that they had to deal with, these two sisters had to deal with, growing their business, there's a lot of things that, you know, was in the way. So it's great that they do that. Love the giving back thing. I mean, that's fantastic. So, all right, I think we've beaten that one a lot, and I want to leave that one alone and let people resonate on that. They're great. And let's talk about Mr. Samuel Quailhole is how you say that. He comes now. This guy, here we go. That's Samuel, and that's his wife Bryn. They have 5 kids. he grew up in a wine-making family. I guess they were in California, in Modesto. He grew up in Modesto, and his
Right.
parents decided to move to Oregon when he was young, and he basically grew up in the vineyards. And his family still has a vineyard, Coelho Winery, and he decided to break out on his own. He started out as a negociant, as these two young ladies have.
Right.
It was called Plush, and I think 99% of his production went to China, and that was in 2011, I think, is when that happened. And then I guess things got out of control, and he's like, all right, well, I'm going to go buy a vineyard in 2014. I think the Perrydale Vineyard in Willamette Valley, outside of Salem. And he has another vineyard called Lucky Rooster, very Pinot focused. They're very focused on relationship wines. That's kind of what they call these. And if you look at their websites, pretty straightforward, but they don't really have a lot of wines that they offer. It's really all about Pinot for them, which, if you know Oregon Pinots, they're fantastic.
That's
so,
right. Right. So it just makes total sense.
Yes. And I'll leave it at that. I don't know if you had anything to add about Mr. Samuel Coelho. So.
No, yeah, Coelho, right? So Coelho, the father, as you said, and I think, he obviously got in, Samuel got into it through his father. And we hear these stories very often, where it gets passed on, traditions through, grandfather to father, father to son, thing. But we've had some of the Pinots before. We put them on. Conscious is one of the Pinots. It's a very good Pinot, sub 15. And then we've had the Samuel Robert, the entry Pinot Noir. So they're very good Pinot Noirs. The Rosé
That's right.
I haven't had yet, though. I haven't had the Pinot Noir Rosé yet.
No, and I'm excited, actually. When I was pouring it, I was in particular the Samuel Robert, I enjoyed that hue of pink that they have versus the Black Girl Magic is a little bit more muted. So I'm very excited. So which one should we try first?
Well, let's go with the Samuel Robert, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. All right. So look at that. That is I call that a deep pink, folks. Deep pink. Very gorgeous. Yep. There we go. Show them. I actually like this label. I like the antlers. I like the I like it's the elk. It's probably a deer or elk. I think that's an elk. It's not a moose, because a moose would have a different face. But anyway, and I got the 2020. I think Emmanuel, where he disappeared to. Oh, he's probably getting his glass. That's fine. That's fine. We are swirling. Look at that. Isn't it gorgeous, folks? That is a beautiful color. I actually love this color, right? But we've had this Samuel Roberts before. So, I knew you had to get a glass. All right. Knew there was a technical challenge there. All right. See, folks, this isn't perfect. But this is fun. All right. And I heard that they cold soak ferment this wine. It sits in there for about 7 to 10 days. I let it sit a little longer. Then it goes into French oak barrels. They do both barrels and tanks, actually, according to what they told me. They really have 3 wines, as we mentioned, all Pinot. That's it. Yep, look at that.
Yeah, look at that color. It's a little deep color.
Deep color, yep. Oh, wow.
Once again, Pinot Noir. This is the Pinot Noir Rosé.
I'm getting all kinds of flowers here. This is very floral, folks.
That's it.
Like rose petals, basically. Like rose water, rose petals.
Rose water, okay.
Yeah. A little citrus. I can't figure out the smell on that, but it's definitely some citrus to it. Citrus note. Maybe I'm getting more of a lime, I would say.
I get that as well.
I'm not getting much. I don't know about the fruit. I'm still kind of determining the fruit here, but there's strawberry.
Yeah, strawberry. I mean, you're gonna get strawberry a lot. In a rosé, often enough. Maybe minerality. Some fruitiness, depending.
yeah, this is, I mean, folks, this smells fantastic. I'm sorry you guys can't smell it through our broadcast, but this is one of the more floral ones we've smelled in a while. Everything else has been more earthy and obviously spice and different kind of flavors and stuff. But this is rosé, and now we got a Pinot in here. When you use Pinot, it's going to be a little bit more bolder.
That's right.
You're going to get that bold flavor from the Pinot coming through, and that's where the fruits come from. So, but that rose petal is pretty prevalent to me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Almost like a dried rose petal. It's not like as intense as a fresh rose petal, but it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
not like,
I definitely agree. Definitely agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not in your face. It's very. I mean, it's very attractive to pull it in. You're like, oh, I love this. Very good. All right, I'm gonna dive in. I know you. I could see you were ready to roll. You're like, I need a drink now. Okay.
Let's do it.
Mmm. Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
It's got
that's
that.
really nice. Yeah,
Like
nice mouth feel right in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's refreshing.
Full body. Not there's no acidity. Yeah, there's not. I mean, even though it's full body, there's no tannins to this. You really don't detect any, to be honest with you. But it's got that fruitiness to it, but not like excessive fruitiness. Not like a Beaujolais or something like that.
No, it's very balanced.
Very balanced.
Sure.
I mean that. Wow, folks. We already got a winner here. I'm very impressed with this one.
You like it, I know. Well, we've liked Samuel Roberts Winery. We've liked their products. We've had, like I said earlier in the show, you know, I think we have other people joining maybe here and there.
Yeah.
But we've had the Conscious Pinot Noir, which is about $14. Really
That's right.
Balanced Pinot Noir, and then we had the other kind of like their standard Samuel Robert Pinot Noir, but once again rosés because that's where we're at right now for spring. But no, I like this one a lot. Real refreshing. Real pleasing.
Well, if you think about it, it's very interesting where they only really have 3 wines, so they're definitely laser focused on these. And now, again, when you have a wider portfolio, but then you need a lot more people, right? So, and you may need more than one winemaker too, which obviously adds costs to this all as well. But I mean, wow. I'm very, very happy with this. And, you know, this is warming up a little bit, but it's still got a chill to it. I took this out probably 20 minutes before our broadcast, so it's definitely in a good spot. Yeah, the rose is still there. You know?
Yeah. I understand what you're saying with that rose, Pete, for sure. I get that, you know?
Yeah, I can't detect any other floral thing here, but
yeah, it's a little strawberry. Like we said.
Yeah, it's almost moving to a potpourri, but I think potpourri's got a little bit more complexity to it. I think I'm going to stick with the rose. That's my I'm sticking with that. That's the aroma I'm smelling.
I think
really good.
I think that's a good appraisal of the wine. Absolutely.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right. I'm going to cleanse my palate. That's really good.
I'm glad you like it.
Well done. All right. Now let's see what Robin and Andrea have come up with. Now, folks, look at this one. Yeah.
These are the 2 sisters.
These are 2 sisters.
The McBride sisters.
The McBride sisters. Yep.
There they
are. It's interesting. Everything I've looked up on them, they have different hairdos going on every single time. Like they didn't have the same.
Fashionable. They're
very fashionable. I give them that because of like, you know, you look at one YouTube interview and then you look at another and another. It's like always different. And I was like, and I realized how tall Andrea is. She actually got recruited. I guess she got recruited for volleyball, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that right?
Really, she's really tall.
I didn't know that one. Okay.
Yeah, she got recruited for volleyball. I forget what school. I didn't get into that too much, but there's one interview they did where I don't know if the producers matched them up by, you know, smallest to highest, and she's like a giant, you know. She's definitely
She's an
towering over it.
Amazon, and I mean in a good way. She's kind of an Amazon, you know. Yeah.
Well, I would say she's got to be 6 foot. I would imagine.
Right. Well, I
And
mean,
you don't play, honestly, unless you're a backline volleyball player. For most of them, they're all, close to 6 foot. Anyone like that.
for sure. For sure.
So look at that, folks. I call this more of a pale pink compared to our Samuel Robert. If you look them side by side, there we go. You can see it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There. Definitely a pale pink. Still a nice hue. I like it. Again, I was partial to that Samuel Robert, but you know what? Still beautiful. I can't wait to jump into this. All right. Let's take a little sniffers.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, whoa, what is that smell? Oh my goodness. It's
What do you got? What do you got, Pete?
oh, what is that? Oh, it's almost like an orange marmalade thing, I think.
Orange marmalade, huh?
Like a marmalade, yeah, like a jelly, like a sweet orange jelly. That marmalade, the chunky jelly. The chunky jelly I don't eat.
The chunky jelly you don't eat. All right.
Well, there's jam, there's jelly, and then marmalade has got big, huge chunks of fruit in there still.
Right.
Yeah, it reminds me of marmalade. I don't know how I picked that off right off the bat, but
hey, that's fine. I don't know if I get maybe a little orange, sort of like just a nectarine, maybe, or
yeah,
it's subtle though for me.
That's a good one. I like that one. I think this is complex. It's got a very complex aroma on here. And folks, just so you know, as a reminder, I always try to smell on the bottom of the rim and on the top of the rim. Top of the rim, you're going to get more delicate. Bottom is the more direct, but take 2 short sniffs and then take a nice long sniff and see what you come up with. It's a very interesting way to smell. Kind of get your nose geared up, I guess. Yeah, now the marmalade's gone now. I don't know where it disappeared to.
No marmalade. Oh, yeah.
More of
I mean, it was present. It can go away,
Yeah, maybe move to a kind of a peach nectarine level, where it's more subtle,
Okay.
It's definitely tree fruit. Let's just characterize it. It's tree fruit somewhere.
It's tree fruit in some part of the corner of the planet.
What are you getting? I mean, you said nectarine, so obviously that's the tree fruit, right?
That's what I get right now, just some nectarine. I don't know what's happening with my sense of smell, but I get it's floral a little bit. I felt like the Samuel Robert for me gave me a bit more as far as the aromatics are concerned for now.
That's right.
But
yeah, it's more of it is floral, but it's not like the rose. It's more toward like a white flower, like
yes, yeah, I agree with that, sure.
Like a dogwood, acacia, kind of where you really have to smell it to, when you see it on the, in a garden or somewhere, you really need to stick your nose in it to really smell it.
Right.
It's very very subtle. Again, just like the Samuel Robert, again, very attractive. It says, "Come, drink me, please." This is
drink me. Yes.
Yes, drink me. Please, all right. Please. So that we yapped enough about that. So let's we'll come back to that if we'll have to try it. All right, here we go.
Once again, before you take a sip, Pinot Noir and Syrah, great.
That's right. Okay. Not as fruity.
That's true.
Got a little bit of front cannon.
Yeah.
Medium finish. I don't know. Maybe I like the fruitiness a little bit more in the Samuel Robert, but I think this is.
Yeah, I can understand that. I can understand that.
You know what? This one would pair perfectly with food. Samuel Robert might be too fruity. That
Okay.
might, I think that might be for patio, snacking on something, standalone wine.
Yeah,
This,
yeah, early in the
this,
afternoon on the deck or
mhm.
something, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so what sort of food? What sort of food do you think for this Black Girl Magic Rosé?
I think cheese would go well with this. I
Cheese.
think a sharp cheddar, something to contrast it. I think because it's got that tannin to it. I think, yeah,
Okay.
I could drink it, and I could imagine tasting a piece of sharp cheddar with this. Um, Blue
Definitely
cheese.
minerality.
Oh, yeah,
Minerality
that's a good
will,
point. Minerality. It's got a little
you're not getting
dryness
that in
to
the
it.
Samuel Robert. You're not getting that in the Samuel Robert. It's more fruity, the Samuel Robert.
Yeah, there's definitely more residual sugar in that one. This one's
Yes.
definitely drier.
Yes. Dry.
Minerality.
Yeah.
It doesn't, and the acidity is not really acidity, it's more tannin. There's nothing that's prickling my tongue or anything like that. I like it. I actually do like it. I think this would be more versatile wine for standalone and for food. I think Samuel Robert, that's a great drinker. I'll tell you that one. I'll tell you that. That's a good sit by the pool.
Right.
You know,
Right.
a little chill on that. You can make it a little colder. I think would have probably mute that flavor, that fruitiness a little bit.
Yeah, you could do that, or just like you said, just work to its strengths. The strengths are,
Mm,
it's a fruity wine. It's got a nice body to it. The Samuel Robert. I
mm.
think you could have that one, and then you could you have friends, people over on the deck. Nice hot day, warm day, spring,
Yeah,
summer, and then move into the Black Girl Magic with
yeah,
later on.
yep.
You know.
I think the Syrah is influencing this wine a
Yes.
lot more
Yeah, it
than.
definitely is. Definitely is. I like it as well. Um, Different spectrums, though, right? Obviously, like we're saying, the Black Girl Magic is more minerality. There's dryness
Dry.
there, where
Yes.
the Samuel Robert is not dry. It is fruity.
Yeah, and
And
this would be more of a French style rosé in terms of that dry minerality, don't you think?
yes, I agree with that. Like Côte de Provence, that area there.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
perfect. There you go. We nailed it because that's what I'm used to with French. Because we
yes.
last summer, folks, if you weren't part of our programming, we did highlight rosés, but actually Emmanuel decided to take us to France, and then we tried some of the French rosés, and they were very dry, very minerally, big
Yes.
time. Um,
So that might,
and
that might not be for everybody.
oh, true, true.
Minerality I like a lot. Pete seems to like. I mean, it works well with a lot of foods. But some people just like that fruitiness in a rosé. That's why they like the rosés, because they can be fruity. Some of them.
Well, I think it's a visual thing for people. They're like, they see that pink and they're like, ooh, like grape juice, like juicy, like, and that
Right.
might be more of a brain eye thing where they're just like, oh, I expect it to be fruity. And then when you try this dry rosé, it does throw people off. And it's like, yeah, but I think there's different styles that complement. And like I said, I'm going to sit behind the fact that I think this Black Girl Magic one is going to be great. I think it's more functional, definitely more versatile
Yes.
in terms of serving with food, standalone.
I agree.
And I
Absolutely.
think,
No doubt.
and then Gabrielle mentioned creamy, earthy cheese, maybe a brie.
Oh, yeah, this is the one. A brie.
A
This is the one
brie,
we're saying. Dry minerality. The
dry
McBride one.
minerality. And I actually I love their bold label. It's like in your face, like, yeah, I'm Black Girl. Okay, got it. But I love how
Oh, yeah.
they still have their kind of old style traditional logo, where they got the English lions and they got a peacock above the M.
Yeah,
It's the
that's it.
McBride Sisters collection. So it's sort of that ode to traditionality. I actually love it. And then the fact that their label is missing like half, right? So,
Right. Well, so
well done.
the piece was no, really good job. Absolutely. The Black Girl Magic products, and with that name, the two sisters, as we said, Andrea and Robin. So they were pitching this business that they had to possible clients, and they weren't sure about the name though. The clients weren't sure like they should use that name because they felt like it wasn't appealing to everyone.
Yeah.
And so they stuck through things, and you know, they were strong to their you know, their interest, and you know, what kind of impression they might wanted to make in the wine industry. So no, they
Yeah.
said, we're going to keep it. We're going to keep that Black Girl Magic brand, you know. So
Yeah, we're
there
going to
you
be
go.
bold. We're going to be in your face and
Right,
tell us not to do it, right? So,
right,
um,
right.
you know, I mean, they made a state. I think they during that interview, I noticed that they said that um, a lot of these the wine media doesn't really, or the wine marketing really doesn't talk to the black wine consumer. Um, and I think that's probably an ode to that, to say, listen, we maybe, this is who we are. We are one of you. We obviously want you to buy our wine. We know that sometimes you've been ignored and discounted, but you know what?
That's right.
You're a consumer, right? So this is what they have on their back of the label, and I think it's really, really fitting. It says, Black Girl Magic is more than a phrase. It's a feeling, a look, a mood, a taste. The Black Girl Magic collection is our personal ode to our culture and story, inspired by the magic and resilience of black women, to be enjoyed by all. And let me finish, so I don't want to talk too long, but we created these wines to draw a parallel to the culture, beauty, and style of black women as a means to inspire, inform, and invite in all who appreciate and respect what Black Girl Magic truly means. You know what? I love that.
Absolutely.
They explain what they're getting at. They probably realized, probably some marketing person did say, maybe you should explain yourself a little bit.
Oh, it's a great, no, it's a great message. It's a great message.
Yeah.
As well as, I did pick up, I want to springboard off of that if I can for a minute, Pete.
Hey, this is our show, right? We can do whatever we want.
Yeah, whatever we want. That's right. So I picked this up, the Wine Enthusiast, the April edition.
Yeah.
I picked this
All right.
up about 3 weeks ago. In this is an article, okay, about this. She's a singer-songwriter. Carlisle is her last name. I actually thought at first I was thinking about Brenda Carlisle, from the, you know who I mean, right? Brenda Carlisle.
You mean Belinda Carlisle?
Exactly, but her
name
name
the Go-Go's.
The Go-Go's, but this woman's name is Brenda. So in the article, her and her wife started a little wine company. Okay.
Yeah.
But the big piece on it was they're basically trying to discuss other wine businesses that are out there that are also, black-owned businesses, if they're LGBTQ businesses. So it's a good little article. It's only 3 pages long. It's
so you want to hear?
Worth looking at.
All right.
Page 22
all right, got it.
in Wine Enthusiast. April.
All right, folks, we got to get that. All right, we're gonna refer to that, and I have an interesting stat because you just alluded to that.
Yeah.
They said obviously, when they became obviously a bit more prevalent in kind of the media about what were they, who they are, what they're doing, the black-owned wine company from last year, is they actually found out there's about 100 black-owned wineries out there in the United States. So
right.
I don't know if it's in the United States or the world, but I'm assuming it's the United States. But again, we don't know about it, and you would never know about it unless there was something that brings this to the attention of people. And it's like, and there was such a big push to support your black-owned businesses, and obviously like that. And I know a bunch of black-owned beer makers as well, and brewers. So it's definitely a good thing that they did that. And then I'm going to throw out another stat, and this isn't necessarily about the black-owned thing, but and they said this during the interview, which I thought was pretty cool. She goes, because they were talking about how they were approached about being bought, acquired, and so forth, and they said, listen, 70% of all brands are owned by three or four companies. Yeah. Scary. Talk about monopoly. I mean, where's the antitrust police on that one? But
right, the monopoly. Well, we live in a capitalistic society, so they try to corner the markets,
That's true. And as you know, did Gallo bought Constellation just recently,
right?
And a bigger fish eating another bigger fish, really, and so. a lot of times they leave these brands to their own, accord, and basically the brands are able to use the marketing arm and muscle and distribution to their benefit. So, in some cases, there's a lot of brands under these big conglomerates that actually do really well. They continue to do well. So, very interesting. Awesome.
But,
no, get Bernie on the line. Bernie was my senator for a long time in Vermont. I really don't want to talk to him.
That's right. I bet he was. Oh, yeah. Very virtuous individual there.
He's a very virtuous anti-capitalist individual, if you ask me. But
he is. He is, for sure.
All right. So, we're how are we doing on time? Because I don't have a clock with me.
We're good. We got some time. I'll count it down for you.
All right. So awesome. So I'm going to do a little geeky. Here's the bottles. The Black Girl Magic has more of a traditional shoulder, tall. Samuel Robert, I actually kind of was interested in the shape of this. It kind of reminded me of sort of like that Riesling approach where you have more of a longer neck. Not as long as a Riesling bottle, but I thought that was kind of cool. I think we talked about the labels a little bit.
Yeah, yep. Honestly, just stepping back, that Pinot Noir bottle, Rosé for Samuel Robert, I think it's just the bottles they use for the Pinot Noir that they put out. The same bottle.
Yeah, they don't market. They're not marketing that. Yeah, okay, that's a good point. Right. I didn't even pick up on that. I mean, they have the same label and everything. You really can't tell unless you actually, because they have that cursive, that cursive script there.
Yeah.
You really have to read it to make sure you're not buying the wrong thing. And also the other thing folks were geeking out about, you have the 19, is that right?
Oh yeah. So that was on a side note. We had a little kerfuffle or something.
Kerfuffle.
I have the because I had the 19 because I wanted to stay true to the two vintages because the Black Girl Magic is a 19 as well.
True. Good point.
But that's just my just becoming a little retentive there. I think maybe.
Yeah. Wow. This is almost. I almost got. I'm sifting in the Samuel Robert again. I think that we're going to like a what is it? Cotton candy.
Ooh,
how about that?
Candy, huh?
How about that, folks?
Yeah. How about that? They were actually cotton candy. It was a grape that they. Wine. There's cotton candy wines out there. It's genetically created in a lab. But yeah, cotton candy. But you get that little cotton candy kind of sweetness in it.
I am now. Yeah, I definitely got it.
Okay.
Boy, folks. Here's the thing that we always are just amazed about is these wines evolve. As they're open and as they're getting oxygen and some of the everything's starting to evaporate a little bit into the air. So they're changing right now. These aromas are changing on us. And honestly, I've only had them open for like 35, 45 minutes.
That's right.
So that's the awesome part about wine is these things evolve. So like initially something may turn you off, but then you let it sit for a while and you're like, wow, all right. Now, obviously, if you have a couple big glasses, everything's going to change. But if you're sipping it, but these things evolve. So like that cotton candy, that's a new aroma. Didn't pick up on that before. It's turning a little sweet on me. The Black Girl Magic it's shifting around in that kind of tree fruit area. We're moving more into a pear smell.
Ooh, a pear
for me.
Smell.
It's getting there. It's on that nectarine border there. It's
the nectarine. That's what I got. That's right.
Yeah, nectarine. I'm still with that on that. Initially, it was apricot. More of an orange. Again, these are evolving. That's the best part. That's the fun part about wine, folks. That's why we love this. We love doing this so much. We learn so much about these wines. And what's the alcohol level on that? Yeah, alcohol is 13% on the Samuel Robert.
They're both 13.
Yeah, they're both 13. Yeah, the middle range, folks. That's a middle range.
I mean, for rosé, though, you know what I mean? For rosé, that's a common alcohol.
You want a lower alcohol because you want to be able to have more than one glass without being, passed out, next to the pool with your face in the water.
It's a lighter wine. Rosés, they're going to be a lighter wine.
Yeah.
Like we talked about earlier, you're going to have those maybe on the deck earlier in the day. It's with maybe a cheese. What would we say? A cheese for the
Gabrielle offered up
yeah,
a Vermont creamy grassy cheese.
That's right. Stay true to Vermont, the best state in our country, right?
They make great cheese. I'm telling you right now. Great cheese, great
beer.
beer.
They make good chocolate. They make good chocolate.
Cheese, beer, maple syrup. Those are my top three for them. They're the maple syrup.
Absolutely.
And folks, if you don't know this, a little goofy fact: Vermont is the #1 producer of maple syrup in the United States. Just so you know.
Makes sense. Makes sense to me. Yeah, for sure.
And they constantly are battling with Quebec for who's got the best maple syrup in North America. So.
Oh, well, there you go, Quebec. Yeah, that's South Canadian. But Vermont's the green state, right? The green state.
It is the green state. Green Mountains. Yeah, the Green Mountains. Yep.
Clean living over there. Right?
It is clean living. It is clean living. It is. I will have to say, if you can pull it off and you have a lot of money, that's a really nice place to live. It's very expensive in terms of going out, expensive groceries, everything like that. But great quality of life. If you are an outdoor person, definitely live in Vermont.
Absolutely.
It's all about the seasons. It's all about getting out and about. And definitely you savor things a little bit more. The eat, drink, savor. That's definitely where I started to. I started to cook a lot more when I was in Vermont. I started to drink more wine. I started to brew my own. Well, I brewed my own beer before then, but definitely brewed a lot more beer. I obviously worked with a lot of food companies up there when I was working up there. So I definitely have an affinity for the place. I still source my pork. I still source my pork and my beef from a farmer up there, and I continue to do that. And it's definitely a quality of life thing. It really is. All right. So any aromas change on you? Let's ask you that. So.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, kind of the same, which is not a bad thing. The same for the Black Girl Magic Rosé.
Yep. Here's that Black Girl Magic.
That's right.
There you go. Yep. Okay.
What you said is the Pinot Noir and Syrah. That's a little bit of the blend there. Where the Samuel Robert is just Pinot Noir. No, it holds true. I think it holds true. I mean, there's something to be said about a wine that we buy this wine now, and then I buy this wine 5 months from now, and it's still the same wine, as far as what we remember it to be. So I think there's something to be said about that. And I think it's important too, as to have a product, when you're in the wine industry, to have a wine. I mean, you do want evolution to happen, but some people kind of, they buy wine because they know what it's going to taste like. They know they're going to like it. They remember it in a certain way. So that's why they buy it,
Yeah. It's almost like the, the consistency of like with beer, right? So when you buy a Sam Adams beer, you expect it to taste the same way every time you drink it.
That's right.
And with wine, I think that might be it's a high standard, to be honest with you, because as you know, you're drinking a 19, I'm drinking a 20. This might be slightly different. So if I tried the 19, I may be like, a little bit change there. It's not what I remember it to be.
Exactly.
So.
Well, and you got to think too. These, you know what I mean? These are new world wines, right? As we're talking here, right? So with Andrea and Robin McBride, I mean, in a sense, they're kind of new to the game, right? They're new to the industry, so it takes time to really get great at the craft of making nice wine.
Oh, definitely.
We're like Samuel Robert, and it's no dig on the McBride sisters. It's just that's what it is. It's anything that you get into and that you love and you're passionate about. It's going to take you time to really get something, to get to a place where you're really happy with what you have. And I think that's what you need to do. You need to keep striving a little further to kind of expand, how your wine is going to taste, what you're looking for, refining it, tweaking it,
Sure.
what have you.
Well, as you know, it's all about the vagaries of Mother Nature with any kind of grape growing. and then the winemaker has the power to blend down certain characteristics to an extent. I mean, there's going to be certain times, there's going to be certain vintages that are going to be a disaster, no matter who you are. Could be, you could be in Bordeaux and you're going to have hail or rain or, heat wave at the wrong times, and your yields are going to be really low. And a really, really good winemaker is going to really still come out with really good product. And then there's going to be the winemakers that aren't as talented, and then maybe don't have the capability to do that. They may only be good to make good wine from good grapes, but there's the winemakers that make great wine from good grapes, and that's kind of just talent and experience. And, like as you and I have tried, we've tried what was it, the wine from Georgia. Again, I think they're just not used to commercial wine production, into the general market. Obviously, they were a Soviet republic for a long time, and there really wasn't a lot of demand for what they were offering. And now people are trying to expand into their horizons, and they're like, I still think they need to work on some things. And then the Romanian wine, which we had, I thought was excellent. But maybe for people,
I know you and Gail are huge fans of that Rakash.
Love that. Yeah, the Rakash wine, the Fitasca Negra, I love that one. That's a great, easy drinker. I don't necessarily think it's good with pairing with food, to be honest with you. But again, still a good wine, very solid wine. I mean, for goodness gracious, $6. I mean, I've had stuff that made my stomach turn over. This stuff is really good for that. I mean, it's pretty good. And both these folks, just so you know, for wine value, I know Divine Diary will view in later, but both bottles, I think I remember it was like $32. So, for 2 bottles of wine, that's great wine value. And again, I actually like both of these wines. We haven't had a few weeks where we had two wines we both liked. So
that's true. They serve different purposes, but they're both really good wines. And I think, once again, not taking anything away from the Samuel Robert Winery, but like spotlighting, as this is my, by intention, spotlighting the wines by the McBride sisters, just because what we talked about with their whole philosophy, and I think we might want to repeat that just for the, just to put that out there once again, for the fact of being 2 women that were sisters, the McBride sisters, right?
2 black women,
black women. Andrea was from Marlborough, New Zealand. She sort of grew up there, and Robin was from Monterey Bay, kind of grew up in LA, California.
Yep. Here they are.
Same father, yeah.
Different mothers.
Different mothers. Different mothers.
Oops, I screwed that up. Okay. Yeah. They found each other, and they both decided they love wine, and they wanted to get into it, and they really taught themselves how to make wine. And again, there was a lot of hurdles and obstacles put in their way to not succeed, and yet they did. Definitely an inspiration for folks who feel the same way. Obviously, they blazed the path, and they're obviously giving back, and I love it, and I love Mr. Samuel Coelho, Coelho, I can't say that right. My Portuguese is wrong. Coelho, which means duck, by the way, folks, if anyone wants to know what that means.
Yeah.
Means duck. But his parents still continue to produce wine. He went out on his own. He's doing really well for himself. He's got 2 vineyards now. Maybe he's an up-and-comer in terms of acquiring more property, more vineyards. I don't know if he'll ever stray from his Pinot Noir roots, but who knows? I mean, definitely an interesting person. Heard some interviews with him. He's, they have really something good going there. And I saw some reviews online about Samuel Robert, which I really disagreed with. I thought their wines were excellent, and I haven't been disappointed with their wine at all. I mean, really,
that's true. No, I know you haven't. We've gone over the Conscious. The Conscious is a very good Pinot Noir.
Yep.
Under $15. It's if you remember, that's when we were doing. We started off. We started out in this journey that you and I have been doing collaboratively. That was probably 11 months ago. We featured that Conscious.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and they're actually that's right. Their wine is really the environmentally more friendly late brand of theirs that they rolled out. So obviously, a lot of wineries are doing that. They're doing to the biodynamic, being more conscious of the land and the aquifers and the obviously the flora. Yeah, the flora, the fauna around the vineyards and how they, they try to obviously. Well, a lot of them. It's hard not to pick things without machines. And just getting people to pick, hundreds of acres, is hard. It's hard to find the labor to do that. But so definitely, you know what, Emmanuel? I give you kudos, man. You picked some great wines. These are fantastic, folks.
Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, we got these beautiful wines. We got the Samuel Robert. We got the Black Girl Magic. Again, both great stories. I'm really floored with the McBride sisters, what they've been able to accomplish, and obviously how they're giving back. But really, they're producing pretty good wine. This is great wine, folks. I love it. I actually like it. I love this one. This is one that's going to be like my poolside easy drinker one. And this one's going to be like summer meal after the pool.
Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, like, they're nice rosés, but stylistically, they're a little different. With the Samuel Robert, as you said, being kind of fruity, but nice, have a nice finish. And then that, Black Girl Magic Rosé, more of a style like a Côte de Provence from France, dry, minerality.
And that's a good way. That's good. Thanks for reminding me. That's a good way to sum that up. That's in the French rosé style of that. It's the dry minerality that a lot of people either love or hate. I like it. The Samuel Robert is definitely that New World rosé where it's a little more fruity, a little more residual sugars, a lot of full body. So there's definitely a stylistic differences. And again, folks, this is not a competition. We don't like root against one against the other. Really, this is more just about comparing and contrasting, and obviously learning more about wine. I mean, this is very educational for us. And I always focus on the people a lot behind the wines, and I know Emmanuel does that too. But for me, it means a lot, and it's a lot of effort to put these kind of wines out. It really is. It's not cheap, not cheap. So
absolutely.
All right. Well, we have covered a lot of ground.
We have.
Do you have anything to say in closing before I wrap this up?
No, I don't think so. Well, let me just say this. I think that people, paying attention to wine and the wine trends in the wine industry, because the McBride sisters mentioned this as well, is that as a consumer, you can kind of, you can really kind of change the larger business conglomerates, wine industries, as far as like the wines that you want to have at your table, the wines that you want to see at stores. As a consumer, you can kind of change that a little bit, and that's the piece, with like a smaller, product driven, like the McBride sisters, because they have a bunch of different other wines. They have
16 wines. Yeah, that's right.
16 wines, a bunch of different wines. So it's kind of nice to kind of bring that to the foreground, where you have like your other businesses, other wine companies that are just huge and prolific and commercially very viable. It's nice to have, smaller little entities out there as well.
True. Yeah, I hope they stay independent for a while. I really would like to see them do that. But
yeah, that'd be cool. I
understand, there's a payday, and when it's nice to have a little bit of take some money off the table when it's offered to you when you have a chance. But again, sometimes you lose independence when you do that. But hopefully they can strike a deal if some great deal comes across. But I think they're doing wine. They're happy right now. They're fine with what they're doing, and hopefully they continue their great efforts out there. Anyway,
exactly.
Well, I'm going to salute to you. Kudos on both
Thank you, sir.
True great wines. We have Samuel Robert. We have Black Girl Magic. Just to wrap this up, Black Girl Magic from the McBride sisters, Robin and Andrea. And we have Samuel Robert from Oregon, Mr. Samuel Quillhole. I can't say that right. My Portuguese is horrible. Quillhole. There you go. Both great wines, both sub $20 a bottle. Perfect for wine value, summer drinking, food pairings, everything. I think we've covered it all on how well these wines are made. We both of us, Emmanuel and I, loved both of them. So I think we have winners all around, and I want to thank everyone for joining us. And We're going to have
Absolutely.
some interesting programming in the next couple of weeks. We're going to be rolling out some other things with Great American Nosh as well once I get on the mend and get out of COVID protocol. And thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Emmanuel.
Yes, sir. My pleasure.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. And we will end this session of Wine and Three. Thank you very much and take care.
Thanks, folks.